Today, I invite you on a relaxed exploration of one of Family Guy's early gems, a journey that takes us deep into Season 1, Episode 8, Peter, Caviar Eater. In this narrative, I guide you through an immersive breakdown of the episode's blend of absurd humor, satirical twists, and heartfelt moments. From the moment the story unfolds, we are met with a vivid portrait of domestic chaos, mixed with a sudden glimpse of high society. A mix that both entertains and provokes thoughtful reflection about wealth, identity, and the spaces we occupy. The episode opens with the unmistakable energy of the Griffin household in full swing. The narrative weaves together everyday mishaps and unexpected elegance with a striking ease, inviting us to witness the transformation of Peter Griffin as he stumbles from his familiar world of comfortable anarchy to the polished corridors of aristocracy. With a narrative that feels both playful and precise, this script will highlight how an ordinary day can spin into a whirlwind of refined absurdity when the unexpected, such as inheriting an opulent estate, enters the picture. Each scene, carefully crafted within the script, paints a picture of a family torn between the allure of pretension and the grounding pull of authenticity. As we traverse this colorful landscape, where every turning point brings laughter and a subtle lesson alike, our focus remains on the heart of the matter, understanding what truly makes life rich. This is a story about ambition, miscommunication, and the ultimate reminder that genuine connections matter more than material trappings. By dissecting every key moment, from the initial whirlwind of preparation for an important family visit to the gut-wrenching yet humorous fallout of societal expectations, we aim to provide a comprehensive understanding of the narrative's inner workings. Sit back and let the unfolding events transport you into the world of the Griffins as we examine the joyful chaos, the satirical commentary, and the layered emotional depth of an episode that continues to resonate with audiences even today. In the opening scenes of Peter, Caviar Eater, the everyday rhythm of the Griffin family is playfully disrupted. The narrative begins by setting the scene in their familiar, chaotic household where each corner reveals a hint of disarray. TV blares in the background as Peter lounges with his ever-present appetite for television and junk food, oblivious to the undercurrent of excitement that soon emerges. The plot takes a pivotal turn as Lois receives unexpected news regarding her wealthy Aunt Marguerite Pewterschmidt, whose impending visit casts a shadow of both anticipation and anxiety over the family. The atmosphere shifts palpably. What was once a routine day becomes underscored by the prospect of high society expectations infiltrating a modest home. The narrative details the frenetic energy as the Griffins scramble to tidy their space, a montage of humorous attempts where Peter's lack of focus is on full display against Lois's meticulous, if slightly exasperated, efforts to bring order to the chaos. In these early moments, the audience senses the underlying contrast between the down-to-earth, albeit disorderly life of the Griffins and the pristine, refined world that Aunt Marguerite represents. The character of Marguerite is introduced with an air of reserved sophistication. Her visit promises a meeting of two very different worlds. There is an unspoken tension in how her presence signals the vulnerability of familial reputation, an inadvertent reminder that appearances, manners, and unspoken rules shape how we are perceived. Through vivid storytelling, the narrative also hints at the inherent humor and irony that Family Guy is known for. With a light yet precise tone, the script sets the stage by illustrating how a single piece of news can propel a familiar household into a realm of unexpected responsibility and societal critique. The family's imminent interaction with the world of wealth is not portrayed as an entirely negative occurrence, but rather as a rich, fertile ground for both absurd comedy and meaningful reflection. It is in this delicate balance between chaos and order, familiarity and novelty, that the narrative invites the viewer to remain both amused and thoughtfully engaged in what is to come. The narrative deepens as we trace the evolution of events following Aunt Marguerite's visit. Initially, a seemingly ordinary family dinner transforms into a showcase of character traits. Peter's boisterous behavior and tasteless jokes create an atmosphere charged with comedy, while Lois's inner turmoil over the impending social expectations is painted with delicate strokes of realism. The dinner is more than a meal. it becomes a microcosm of the larger societal issues at play. The awkwardness is palpable as Marguerite, despite her own reserve, carefully navigates the uneven terrain between affection and a desire for refinement. As the scene unfolds, every gesture and misplaced remark builds the foundation for the episode's central theme of identity versus expectation. The narrative takes a dramatic turn when tragedy unexpectedly strikes. Aunt Marguerite suddenly passes away. This incident throws the family into a state of shock and uncertainty, quite distinct from their previous comedic routines. At her lavish funeral, the air is heavy with anticipation, and the viewing of a video will add both poignancy and surprise to the proceedings. The revelation that the Griffins have inherited her sprawling estate, Cherrywood Manor, is a moment of both euphoria and foreboding. With the sudden acquisition of indulgent wealth, the narrative paints a picture of a family thrust into a world far removed from their humble Quahog origins. As the Griffins move into the opulent Cherrywood Manor, the narrative draws attention to the stark contrast between their everyday lives and the refined expectations of Newport's aristocracy. The grandeur of the estate, with its ornate decorations and meticulously maintained gardens, creates an immersive atmosphere that feels almost otherworldly to the Griffins. Peter's subsequent behavior is at the heart of the transformation, an enthusiastic, if misguided, attempt to integrate into this new world. He dons tuxedos with an excited gleam in his eye and hosts extravagant parties where the lines between genuine effort and farce blur. The narrative details his rapid foray into high society, hilariously adopting a comically affected British accent and embracing the lifestyle that comes with wealth, even if only superficially. While Peter freely experiments with mock refinement, his missteps are chronicled with a humorous precision. A memorable scene comes to life as the narrator describes the genteel yet disastrous society gala, where Peter, in a bid to impress, inadvertently offends the Duchess of Kent. Mistaking her beloved pet for nothing more than an accessory, his error becomes an instant spectacle of public humiliation. This incident crystallizes the gap between Peter's intentions and the sophisticated world he aspires to join. His peppermint-laced dreams of luxury contrast sharply with the unyielding social codes that demand decorum and respect. Throughout the narrative, a series of vivid cutaway moments punctuate Peter's antics. One such sequence evokes the image of Peter imagining himself as a suave version of James Bond, only for reality to deliver a swift dose of irony through an encounter with airport security. These interwoven flashbacks and whimsical diversions not only heighten the comedic aspect, but also underscore the narrative's underlying critique of superficiality. In the midst of these escapades, Lois, Stewie, Meg, and Chris illustrate their own struggles and silent protests against the relentless tide of pretense. Lois's composed exasperation, Stewie's sardonic judgment of the new environment, Meg's feeling of invisibility, and Chris's quiet yearning for the simplicity of home offer a wider canvas upon which the narrative of class and identity is painted. Peter's transformation reaches its crescendo as he enrolls in a finishing school, a final, earnest yet absurd attempt to master the art of etiquette. The montage of lessons, complete with awkward practice sessions and hilariously overblown demonstrations of grace, forms the climax of his misguided quest. Amid this frenzy, the ever-watchful butler Preston stands as a subtle reminder of the societal expectations Peter is trying so hard to satisfy. Through every misadventure and laughable faux pas, the narrative meticulously documents a trajectory from fast-talking, freewheeling Peter to a man who, despite his best efforts, continually finds himself at odds with the refined world he wishes to inhabit. Delving into the themes of the episode provides a rich palette upon which Family Guy paints its satirical critique of society and personal ambition. At its heart, the narrative examines Peter's relentless pursuit of social acceptance, a quest that lays bare the character's inner vulnerabilities and the deep-seated need for validation. The inheritance of Cherrywood Manor is more than just an unexpected windfall. It serves as a potent symbol of the allure and danger of wealth. The manor, with all its opulent trappings, becomes a metaphor for a life that seems attractive on the surface, but is ultimately hollow without genuine human connection. The narrative reflects on how Peter's transformation is simultaneously comical and tragic. His earnest forays into high society, every humorous misstep in adopting refined mannerisms, and his caricatured British accent are all crafted to highlight the disconnect between external appearances and inner worth. While Peter's behavior is exaggerated to elicit laughter, a trademark of Family Guy's humor, the underlying message remains clear. Authenticity cannot be bought or taught. The character's journey through the often absurd rituals of aristocratic life brings with it moments of self-realization. It is within these turning points that the narrative underscores the value of personal growth over the superficial rewards of social climbing. Moreover, the narrative considers how the other members of the Griffin family serve as mirrors to Peter's struggles. Lois's unwavering, pragmatic approach stands in contrast to Peter's fluctuating ambitions. Her presence is a soft anchor amid the swirling tides of pretense. Stewie's caustic observations of the upper-class world, filled with biting wit and intellectual arrogance, lend a nuanced commentary on the vacuity of high society expectations. Meg's recurring sense of neglect and Chris's quiet, longing gaze towards a simpler lifestyle are detailed with empathetic clarity. Each character's subtle protest against the false allure of wealth enriches the overall narrative, reminding us that genuine value lies in our inherent character and relationships. The role of secondary figures, especially the butler Preston, is woven into the tapestry of the episode as well. Preston's cautious concerns about Peter's behavior illuminate the invisible pressures that society places on individuals striving to conform. His silent admonitions and thoughtful glances act as a counterbalance to Peter's overzealous mimicry of aristocratic life. This balance of humor and poignancy is emblematic of the episode's larger thematic thrust, a delicate interplay between the ridiculousness of pretension and the profound affirmation of authenticity. In every carefully structured scene, the narrative embraces Family Guy's signature style of juxtaposing absurd physical comedy, such as the infamous gala mishap, with incisive social commentary. The narrative does not shy away from highlighting the pitfalls of chasing an idealized version of life, suggesting that true fulfillment comes from accepting one's own imperfections and embracing the virtues of honesty and familial love. Through this detailed examination of themes and character dynamics, the episode ultimately emerges as a thoughtful commentary on how genuine human connections should triumph over the fleeting luster of material wealth. As the narrative draws to a close, the weight of the episode's lessons settles in with comforting clarity. The journey through a world tinged with aristocratic allure and unbridled chaos reveals that, despite the temptations of wealth and the trappings of high society, authenticity remains paramount. In the final moments, Peter's experience becomes a vivid parable of personal growth, a humorous yet heartfelt admission that the pursuit of superficial status is a path fraught with disillusionment. The story gently reminds us that the ephemeral glitz of high living pales in comparison to the lasting warmth of familiar bonds. The narrative now reflects on how the Griffins, despite their follies and eccentricities, find solace in the simplicity of their modest home in Quahog. The family's return from Cherrywood Manor is not merely a retreat from an extravagant lifestyle. It is a conscious decision to embrace a life imbued with genuine connection, humor, and the comfort of being true to oneself. This episode, rich with absurd scenarios and clever social satire, leaves behind a resonant message that in the grand pursuit of acceptance, the only true measure of success lies in the strength of personal character and the love shared within a family. In the final analysis, the narrative encapsulates a familiar but powerful truth, a reminder that authenticity, with all its imperfections, is far more valuable than any polished mask of high society. The journey through wealth, mishaps, and hilariously mismatched ambitions ultimately circles back to the founding principle that defines the Griffins: the importance of unity, acceptance, and the warmth of home. By chronicling each step of the misadventure, this exploration reaffirms that genuine human values will always rise above the superficial allure of a fleeting lifestyle. And as the story fades into the comforting familiarity of familiar laughter on a worn-out couch, it leaves us with a quiet celebration of the enduring bond that makes life worth living.